Good afternoon, folks. Today is February 8th, 2020. It's the afternoon here, and we are kind of enjoying our day inside from the cold winter's day, having a little bit of snowfall here in the city. And it's just cold and wet outside, and I really don't feel like going out there too much today. So I thought I'd go ahead and get a couple videos in. You can see here that we are in my temple area. I just thought it would be a good idea to do like some of my videos in here as opposed to the living room. And so, with that, I'm just kind of relaxing as much as I possibly can. So folks, if you're a subscriber to my channel, I do appreciate that very much. Go ahead and if you're not a subscriber though, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. I would appreciate that very much. And if you do like the video, hit the like button down below there as well. Do share my videos if you'd like with people that you know. I do try to have some practical information as much as possible. And if you know somebody who's new to the practice, I'm not worried if they're right-hand path or left-hand path, whatever. We're all occultists here. We're all seeking knowledge. And we're all looking to grow and ascend in our own way. If there's any kind of information I can share that will help you to further develop yourself, or to generate ideas for your own practices or anything like that, then I'm happy to go ahead and do that. And you should try to do that as much as you can for other people as well. At least that's my thought on the subject. So I don't want to ramble too much today. I do appreciate about the noise here. Apparently my neighbor downstairs thinks that it's a good idea to be like banging and hammering shit like all day today. Kind of woke me up from a nice little sleep earlier on my day off. So we're doing a book review here today. The other noise that you may hear in the background is I am playing some EM sounds from the planet Venus. I was doing my meditation normally like I do every morning after I shower, but before I go off to work. And it's just been playing in the background. I've been just letting it go up to this point because it's kind of relaxing for me. And with that, I'm just going to go ahead and kind of jump into the review here really quick. Before I do, 20 days and counting, I will be hitting my 48th birthday. February 28th is going to be the day. And I have a lot of people that tell me that I do not look like I'm, about 48 years old, but I guess, I'm just taking care of myself over the years as much as I could. And they always tell me that I look a little bit, quite a bit younger than I normally am. But that's going to be the day, and expect some videos coming out here in the next couple of weeks. Again, I'll be doing a soulmate attraction video here in a bit. I'll get that ritual going after I get a few more supplies in. I'll probably be doing a demonic pact. I'll be doing a pact video with one demon definitely, probably another one, but I'll get one done definitely. And then I'll be doing another video on my voodoo doll series, and that's what I have in the works. Probably the next 10 to 12 days, I'll be getting a couple of those out. At least two of those out, definitely. So kind of bear with me there, folks. Today is going to be a book review day for me. A couple people have asked me to do a review on this book. and I'm just going to go ahead and kind of get it done. And today's book is Lucifer and the Hidden Demons, a practical grimoire from the Order of Unveiled Faces, and that is by Theodore Rose. Oops, we're going to turn it that way. Okay, this book is published in 2018, has about 244 pages to it, and was published by the Power of Magick Publishing in London, England. Not familiar with the Order of Unveiled Faces. They do talk a little bit in the book concerning their order and how they got started or whatever, and things that they do. The book is actually pretty interesting. It is a pathworking book. So if you're not familiar with pathworking, pathworking is based on the idea of presenting imagery to the reader that puts them kind of like on a journey and kind of moves the reader from one place to another in a shortened amount of time, and that helps to create imagery in the mind. And pathworking has been kind of showing up a lot lately here in the last couple of years. Hasn't really been, it's not a new thing. It's been around for like centuries, really, but I guess people are just kind of experiencing it again, and it's starting to come in into the general practice of a lot of occultists lately. So you could probably definitely start seeing like more books on pathworking here in the next couple of years. Would be my thoughts on that. Don't discount pathworking by any means. It is definitely a viable means of magic. I've had this book for quite a while. Probably, I don't know, 5 or 6 months at least, and I've worked with it quite a bit. I'm not saying that I've worked with every demon in this book, but I've worked with enough of them to this point and I've used this book enough to this point that I'm comfortable with doing a review on this book and giving you my likes and dislikes about it, and hopefully that works out for you. If you like something that you hear that I mentioned about the book and you want to go ahead, get it for yourself and see if it works for you, then by all means, I've definitely done a service to you. Okay, so the material and the demons in the book come from the book of Abramelin, the Mage, is what the author describes in the book, and that's going to be one of the first things that you notice about the book, is that you're going to open it and you're going to find, obviously they're going to have the basics in there, like what the book is about, how to work with the particular demons and whatnot in the book. The first thing what they do is they break the book down into categories. You'll find that most of the demons in the book have at least 2 functions. Some of them only function in one area of life, whether it be compelling or controlling or finance, love, creating illusion, or willpower, personality. There's a whole list of areas such as finding peace and legal problems, healing, which I don't recommend in this book particularly, and I'll be forthcoming on that only because there's only about 2 demons in the book that actually deal with healing and the body, and I've tried to work with both of them, and to me, it just isn't worth it. I mean, if you're going to go ahead and do some type of healing, for me personally, I'd much rather just go straight to, like, Raphael, the divine physician. I'd much rather just probably go to working with the archangel in that type of sense, as opposed to a demon. And it's not to say that a demon can't do any type of healing. It's just that the way that it's described, that these 2 particular demons are described in the book, it's kind of just like, having a doctor throw a pill at you and saying, oh, okay, you have a headache, here, take this pill, and you cure the symptom, but you don't cure the problem. And that's really not the other downside to the book, and but I'll get to that in a few minutes. But I'm just saying that there are, regarding health and healing, I wouldn't use the 2 particular demons in this book. For that, I would go look for, I would work with another entity. You could actually work with Lucifer if you really wanted to concerning that. But again, I'll kind of touch base on that a little bit as well. But after you get the categories out of the way, it's broken down by the 4 demon kings, and then you have the 8 dukes, which fall under Lucifer. So you have the demon kings, which are Lucifer, Leviathan, Shahtan, and Belial. And I'm pronouncing it Shahtan because spelled Shahtan, and that's because in the book the author makes a note that that is the actual pronunciation in writing for Satan, as opposed to obviously just saying Satan. But the way that the author describes it is that Christians, as we know, they like to fuck a lot of things up. No offense. But they basically got Shahtan, and they mistranslated it into Satan, and I'm not going to get into the whole story about that. But he feels that if you pronounce it in this particular sense, in the particular way of saying Shahtan as opposed to Satan, that it doesn't bring up any kind of bad thoughts or any evil connotations or anything like that associated with the word Satan. Because a lot of people think, as soon if you say the word Satan, and they have this, imagery of just, evil and everything bad in the world. And he also feels that, if you as a practitioner use the word Satan, that somehow it may end up bringing those types of thoughts to the forefront of your mind, which may feel like you're doing something bad. And I don't have that type of issue myself. I think that it is what it is, folks. I don't care if you want to say Shahtan, that's fine. If you want to say Satan, that's fine. Go ahead and just use your instinct on that. Okay, and then you have Belial. And those are the 4 demon kings. And then you have the 8 dukes of Lucifer, and those are Astaroth, Asmodai, Oriens, lighting's kind of low here. Araton, Magoth, Beelzebub, Paimon, and Amaimon. Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and kind of describe here. I'm going to let you know why I'm kind of going through the list here. And then after that, all the demons are kind of broken up at that point, based on the particular dukes. The downside to this book, and I'm just going to go ahead and bring this out to you right now, is that the pathworking process in this book is very lengthy. It's not to say it's not effective. Okay, I've used the book and it works great. Okay, the problem for me is that depending on the type of depending on the demon that you want to work with, it can take some people a long time, and by a long time, I'm saying, 5, 6, 7 minutes, 10 minutes to get to that point when you're going through all the imagery that you need to in order to get to that particular demon, than it is if you could just, jump straight forward to the demon. Because the way that the author describes it is, first and foremost, you have to go through Lucifer. And even if you're going to work with another one of the demon kings, let's say you're going to work with Belial, you always have to confront Lucifer first, and then ask for permission to summon Belial. And that's just because, again, Lucifer is at the top of the hierarchy. Now, let's say if you're going to work with, let's say you want to work with a Maimon. You have to first go through Lucifer, and then you have to do the path working for Lucifer first, and then you request for permission to work with a Maimon, and then you have to go through the path working and that imagery for a Maimon in order to make contact with that particular duke. And then at that point, you can make your request and your intent and whatnot. However, it breaks down even further at that point, because you have not all the demons work under particular dukes. For instance, you have a subcategory after that. It says the demon servants of Oriens, Paimon, Araton, and a Maimon, and then you have a listing of demons, and then you have a list of demons that serve under Astaroth and Asmodai, and then there's a listing of demons for servants under Asmodai and Maggoth, and they're not all the same demons either. And then, for instance, you have a subcategory for a Maimon and Araton, and then from that point it just kind of goes to demons that only serve under one particular duke at that point. So some demons serve under multiple dukes. In this case, 2 at the least, and then there are other demons that serve under multiple dukes. In this case, a Maimon, Paimon, Araton, and Oriens. Okay, and by all means, if you ever want to work with a demon under that particular group, I feel for you, because you have to go through so much path working in order to make contact with that demon. Let me try to give you an idea here. Give me just one moment. All right, so if you look down here, you see this book down here. on that shelf below my altar. This is a thick ass book that I basically compiled. Okay, now mind you, okay, I mean this is like a pretty thick right here, alright? Mind you that most of the text in here, most of the font is like font size 15 or 16. When I write stuff out and I type stuff out, I kind of like to have my words like a little bit bigger because, you know, especially if I'm in my temple area and it's a little dark, I like to have the font that's a little bit bigger to read in low lighting. But this book that I have here is basically this book, okay? And you're thinking to yourself, why the fuck would you ever like write this book out and type it out for yourself when you have a copy of this book already? Let me explain. So if you're going to go ahead and work with a demon under the servants of Orient, Paimon, Arakan, and a Maimon, this, I'm going to give you an idea of what you have to go through, okay? And we're just going to go ahead and pick a demon here. There's a few of them. We're just going to go with the first one. And I'll pull these pages out here really quick. So let me kind of read the steps that you have to go through. And this is the downside to the book, and you'll understand what I mean after I read this to you really quick. Because when you work with a demon out of here, you're going to jump around a lot, probably, in order to get to this point. So one of the ways that I made it easier for myself is I've typed all the pathworking out for each demon. And by the time that I realized, you know, I'd worked with so many of them at that, you know, at a particular point, I probably worked with, you know, 15 or 20 of them at that point. I was like, I'm basically like just rewriting all this shit to begin with, you know, and this is like quite lengthy. And again, folks, it's not to say this is not a good book to work with. It's just that the pathworking process in this book, to me, is lengthy. I know some people that like working with this book. I like working with this book, again, but for me, it's like, you know, to spend like a lot of time going through all the imagery to get there is a bit much for me. So we'll say that we want to work with Moray, okay? And it's spelled M-O-R-E-H, okay? So it sounds like Moray, okay? This is the first demon that appears under these 4 dukes, okay? Now remember, you have to go through first Lucifer and then the other, and then all the dukes before you even get to the demon that you want to work with. So Moray, for instance, is okay. His ability, or what he is described to be able to do, is to make somebody forget what you owe them. So here's the description. It says, if you owe somebody money, this ritual can make that person forget or lose the will to seek the money from you. If you owe several people, name them all in the ritual. When you are going up against a large automated system, such as computer records in a bank, you should direct your request at the bank itself as an entity. The effects are stronger when aimed at specific people, but you can get creative results when challenging large organizations. So I haven't really used this particular demon at this point. I'll be honest with that, but that does kind of sound intriguing. Hey, I got a lot of student loans that I need, forgotten about myself. Maybe I should look into that. All right, so here's the process. So to summon the demon servants of Oriens, Paimon, Aratan, and Abramelin, you must first summon Lucifer. Then you make that request to Lucifer to summon the named demon dukes themselves, and then the demon servant. So, in other words, it's going to go something like this. First, you summon Lucifer, and you ask and request permission to summon Oriens, Paimon, Aratan, Abramelin, and the demon servant in question. Then you summon Oriens and ask for permission to summon his demon servant, in this case, Moray. Okay. Then you do the imagery work for Paimon, summon Paimon, and ask for permission to summon his demon servant, again, Moray. Okay. Next, you do the imagery work for Aratan and ask for permission to summon his demon servant, again, Moray in question. And then you do the imagery work for Abramelin, again, make your request. And now you're finally able to perform the imagery work for the demon servant, Moray, at this point. And then you do your final working. You make your petition of intent to the demon. You do any type of visualization you need to at that point. And then when you're done, you close out the path working by first thanking the demon, the final demon that you made contact with, okay, which in this case is Moray. And then you also thank Lucifer, and by thanking Lucifer, that kind of trickles down into all the other demons, the dukes and whatnot that you had to go through in order to get to Moray, okay? And then you do your final imagery work, where you just do the first line of Lucifer's pathworking imagery, and then you close out, okay? Now, that's, that could be, quite a lengthy process, for some people. Some people don't, their imagery is, they don't quite bring stuff or imagine things as quickly as other people. I don't know if that makes sense, okay? But, again, to me, that's the downside to this book, is that you just have to go through a lot of asking, a lot of permission, and a lot of imagery, and that's only if you're really working with, certain demons, by all means, okay? Now, of course, if you're just looking to work with, let's say a demon that only serves under one duke, then obviously you just have Lucifer to deal with, and then that duke, and then the final demon. And with that, it's fine, But if you ever stuck with wanting to work with a demon that falls under 4 dukes, or 3 dukes or 4 dukes, then you're just asking for a lot of imagery work, which again could take some time for some people. Are the working with the demons effective in this book? Yes. I've had extensive results in a lot of different categories for all these demons. Just to kind of go through some of the list. Again, it says demons for manipulating reality, category for influencing, compelling, and controlling. Then you have financial situations, sex, passion, and seduction, persuasion, charm, and trust, healing in the body, which again, I've already, I believe I've made my point on that. If I'm not mistaken, the two demons in here, I wouldn't see about working with them. But again, you could work with Lucifer on that if you wanted to, in that sense, and just to see what kind of results might be generated from that. Then you have categories of guidance and wisdom, category to find peace, legal problems of justice, willpower and personality, protection and binding, personal skills and creativity, corruption and cursing, causing disease and injury, for mental suffering, and then to create illusion. So there's quite a few categories in the book, and which is good. And again, to kind of jump back to Lucifer over there really quick, is could you use Lucifer to do a healing ritual? You most certainly can. And that's because, his powers, all the powers basically that fall under all the other demons are his powers as well. Okay, his main category is manipulating reality, and as it says in the book, and that can generate a lot of things. Okay, for instance. And a lot of people would say, well, why not I just work with Lucifer then, instead of like going through all this path work and all this imagery work just to get to a demon, that's like lower on the totem pole or something like that. Well, the reason is this: you're going to use Lucifer, and he's going to say, okay, great, and it's going to be, huge suite, to correct the problem, okay, and it's just going to affect a lot of things. It's going to, affect a lot of changes to things that you probably don't want affected, okay, and because when he manipulates reality, it's going to be on a very big scale, and if that's something that you're willing to put up with, then that's fine, go for it. The reason why you would probably much more want to work with a demon lower on the scale is because that demon's power is more specific, it's more pinpoint, it's right to the, it gets right to the heart of the matter, and it's only going to affect that, particular situation. It's not going to be like, okay, sure, you want a healing, great, let's go ahead and take care of that. Oh, by the way, your relationship fucked up and you lost your job in the process too. Again, it's probably a little out there, but, it could happen. I've seen people work, Belial is actually a great one where he says, that you need to resist change, and if you need to push things away and get rid of things, Belial is a great one for stuff like that. That's more in another video, of course. But if you want to know more about that, I would recommend that you go to YouTube and you hit up channels like EA Co-Editing, Orly Stewart, J.S. Garrett, and a few others that belong to BecomeALivingGod.com, and they talk not just about Belial, but they talk about a lot of other things, and that's, I have a subscription to a lot of their channels as well, and I have to get my information and learn just like everybody else. And they're on the forefront, personally, when it comes to like a lot of left-hand path work. There are other people like J.D. Temple and others that belong to their group, Michael W. Ford, Asimov Mason. To me, they're creating the groundwork for a lot of us in the left-hand path community, and so I'm not going to say that I see them as my heroes or anything like that, but I mean they're really laying the groundwork and they're really making things possible for people in the left-hand path community. So I mean, if you want to know more about Belial and stuff like that, and you really want to get more information, they're a good place to go to. But folks, I'm going to go ahead and cut this video at this point, more or less. Is the book worth getting? Sure. I'm not going to say that you shouldn't get the book. Pathworking is not for everyone. Again, it requires you to go through a bit of imagery. The nice thing about pathworking is that when you want to make connection with a particular demon or spirit or whatever it is, entity, you're doing it from the standpoint of creating imagery of where that particular demon resides, or you're basically going to the demon in a sense, as opposed to bringing the demon to you as a means of, say, evocation as opposed to invocation. Think of it like this: evocation, you're forcing a demon or a spirit to come to you, which is why some people say, "Hey, I don't understand. I evoked this demon and he was a fucking bitch. He didn't like working with me." Well, that just happens with some demons in particular. Some demons, it's very difficult to work with. They're an opposing force to you, than what you are, and trying to work with them is like pulling teeth from a crocodile. Whereas some demons you evoke and they're happy to work with you. It's because your energies are very similar, and and they want to be there, and they want to help you out. And don't get me wrong, folks, demons are actually very, very helpful, and they want to help you out. That helps them grow as well, and it's more or less like one of their purposes to help us to ascend, to become better people than we are. So, again, what I'm trying to say is that's the difference between path working and going through something else. Is you're meeting the demon in a place that is comfortable to them, and they're in a surrounding that is comfortable to them, and therefore it's not harsh. It's not like you're forcing them to come to you, and then constraining them through any type of means or anything like that. You're going there, you're meeting them, and they're calm at that point. They're in their place of peace, just like you are in your place of peace at times, which makes it very beneficial for you at that point. They're more prone to wanting to help you out and listen to what you have to say. So pathworking is very viable. I recommend that you definitely give it a try. If you don't want to do it with this book, you can go ahead and work with pathworking through some other spirits. You can pathwork with angels if you want, angelic beings, archangels. I believe that Gallery of Magic might have. The book doesn't come off to the top of my head, but they probably have a book that for that. There's Goetia Pathworking by Corwin Hartgrove. I've done a video on that. Again, you have to work with the Goetia Spirits, the 72 spirits of that. But the nice thing with this book, and I will say, is that you are working with demons that have not readily come to light, metaphorically speaking, for a long, long time. Again, because the demons that you work with in this book, obviously past the 4 demon kings and then the 8 dukes, are demons that are found within the book of the Abramelin the Mage. So, if you pick up that book, which I believe was the copy that they referred to, was published back in 2015. It's called the Book of Abramelin, a new translation, revised and expanded, by George Den and Steve Guth and Abraham von Worms. I believe I do have that book. It's probably over there on my shelf, and I'm not going to get up and get it at this point, unfortunately. But when you open the book, that particular book, you're not going to have sigils to all the demons, because that particular book, when written in the 1400s, sigils such as this, like this is a sigil for Lucifer, one of many. The practitioners of the time didn't have sigils like that to work with, to make contact with those particular demons. Sigils are actually something kind of new. They've only appeared in the last couple hundred years, in order to make contact with the demons, and the author does kind of describe that here in the book as well. But the approach is good. I like it. It's fresh. It gives you, again, there's probably at least 100 demons in the book that you can make contact with for various matters. Again, I like it because it has demons that just a lot of people haven't worked with before, or they just haven't been worked with in quite a while, and therefore you're not having to worry, like, are you dealing with some type of egregore or something like that that's been created over the years through constant use from, say, like in the cult community standpoint. Again, the author makes a great point in that in the book. Say, like, in this case, like, say, like the Goetia Spirits. But get it if you'd like, by all means. If you do, I will see about getting a link in the description down there below, so that you can go straight to Amazon.com and pick it up if you'd like. And with that, folks, I'm just going to go ahead and try to call it at this point. I do apologize for the lengthy video on the book review. There was quite a bit I really had to kind of go through with this review, though. It's not like some of my other reviews that were a little bit shorter. So I'm going to go ahead and let you go, folks. Again, it's at Amazon.com if you want to go ahead and pick it up. Lucifer and the Hidden Demons by Theodore Rose. And with that, folks, you enjoy the rest of your day. Take care, and infernal blessings. Bye.